Hi, everyone, and welcome to Café IBTTA. I'm Pat Jones. My guest today is Stephanie Bianco, the Capital Projects Manager for the toll program at Riverside County Transportation Commission. Stephanie is responsible for planning, developing, and delivering express lanes projects within Riverside County and is the RCTC Project Manager for the Interstate 15 Express Lanes Project Southern Extension. Stephanie has over 20 years of experience in the public and private sectors, including planning, environmental analysis, and delivery of express lane and highway projects within Southern California. Before joining RCTC in 2018, Stephanie worked in various management and environmental planning roles at LA Metro, Parsons, and the California Department of Transportation. Stephanie graduated from the University of California, Riverside, and California State University, San Bernardino. Stephanie, welcome to Café IBTTA. It's great to have you with us.
Thank you, Pat. I really appreciate being here today. It's such an honor. I want to show my mug today because I usually see mugs. So I'm sharing my Stronger Together mug. And there's a story that goes with it. And I'm also part of Women in Transportation seminar in the Empire chapter. And a colleague, you have very different personalities on a board, and just to help encourage, working together in cooperation, she gave out some mugs called Stronger Together. And I just realized, yeah, we are stronger together despite all our differences. So just want to say cheers to that.
Beautiful. Thank you. And I'll show my mug, which is the 2019 World Series champion Washington Nationals. They're not in it this year, but 2019 was the greatest year of all time. So I salute the Washington Nationals.
Don't mention LA Dodgers right now to our friends here. We're all kind of angry.
Right. Well, today, a big shout out to the two chief meeting organizers for IBTTA's Global Tolling Summit that's starting this weekend in Dublin. They are Geraldine Walsh of Transport Infrastructure Ireland and Fran O'Connor from Atkins. Also a shout out to TII for being our host agency in Dublin, and to ASICAP, the European Association, for partnering with us. Thank you so much. Well, this is Café IBTTA, where we drink coffee and talk about things that are interesting, relevant, uplifting, and fun. And we are taking your questions and comments, and we want to get started right away. So I have learned in the course of my extensive research that Stephanie has several hobbies, and one of them is binge watching TV shows. And her favorites include Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon. So in the chat function, please tell us your favorite shows to binge watch. All right? Tell us what your favorite shows to binge watch are.
Oh, that's a good one. Ted Lasso. That's a really good one. Better Call Saul.
Yeah, Succession. That's one of my favorites.
I think I've watched many of those. I binge watched many of those on a weekend.
Yeah, as
I have not seen Friday Night Lights though.
No, I have not seen that either.
Walking Dead. We still have Walking Dead fans out there. Wow.
Yeah. NCIS. Okay. Although I liked it better with Gibbs. The old Seinfeld.
Oh, that's a classic for sure.
Hey, this is great. People have a lot to contribute.
Oh, George Christopher, you and I, we're alike. We like that.
All of the above. BBT.
BBT.
What's BBT?
Superstore. Oh, that's a fun one.
Yeah. Oh, Big Bang Theory. Okay, I guess you have to be really close to it to know that it's.
Okay. Sheldon. Yeah. I get that one. That's a funny one.
All right. Well, good. Well, we are going to turn to Stephanie now and learn a little bit more about you. Stephanie, tell us, where did you grow up? Tell us a little bit about your family of origin.
Okay, so California girl, and mostly Southern California. Second generation Filipino American. My parents immigrated here in the 70s when they opened up the immigration to the Philippines again. Um, we grew up like modest, we had most of the necessities. We didn't have a lot to do extra things, but they did teach me, my parents did teach me the value of, working hard, commitment, and just being persistent overall to, meet your goals. And now my parents, they have a couple properties, they're now retired, and they help set me up for success, help me pay for college, and they help support me and my family by helping watch the kids. So my parents have been I really look up to my parents for everything that they've done to help me be successful now. So they did a lot of sacrifice to move from the Philippines out here to America, and they set their roots here, and we're all doing well between me, my sister, and my brother, and our families.
So Stephanie, it's wonderful to hear about the love of your family and how that's been a great source of strength and nurturing in your life. Now, you're a projects manager for the I-15 Express Lanes extension. What do you study to get into a position like that? What was your field of study?
That's interesting you bring that up, Pat, is because when I was UC Riverside, I studied biology thinking I'd be a dentist or some type of medical field, and decided, okay, so do I want to do some additional, I've done like almost 16 years of school. Do I want to do some additional school? And I thought, why don't I just work for a bit and see if that path still is for me? And so I decided to take a job with the state, and it was for hazardous waste oversight for schools. And I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really interesting. It was like, part of it was analytical, part of it was going to the field, part of it was explaining to the public very technical issues. And I really enjoyed that. And what's funny is like, okay, I like this environmental stuff. And then I transferred to the state duty, Caltrans, and really thought about, and I did environmental planning there. And I found out that, commuting from place to place is a big part of like my day. And, I was thinking that this is really impactful and meaningful. I really want to stay in transportation and do something really worthwhile. So continued on doing environmental planning on a lot of interchange projects in Riverside and San Bernardino counties, and then ended up at Parsons for almost like 10 years, and worked on really big projects like the 91 and then the Interstate 15, and also Orange County's Interstate 405 express lanes. And I just see, like, when I see drive on the 91, I'm like, I worked on that. I was part of the environmental procurement for that, for the compliance. I feel like a part of something that is for the public. So that's where I kind of got my passion for transportation and why I want to continue forward in this industry.
Stephanie, you showed me something a little bit earlier, and I want to call our viewers' attention to this. The image that's over your left shoulder. Could you tell us a little bit about that? I think it has special
right
meaning
here, right?
for your career in transportation. Yeah.
Yeah, so I got this a couple years ago. It's basically the skyline of downtown Los Angeles, but it's printed on a subway map. And I got this during my time working at LA Metro. I was there for a short time. And I thought this was a really interesting piece of art, because you have this downtown skyline, and then right under it is all the subway routes and transferring people from here, there, and everywhere. And I was like, wow, this is a really good piece that I want to just post in my office. So yeah, I keep it there and I look at it and I admire, like, when I used to commute to LA and go from place to place in downtown LA.
Well, Stephanie, it's really a great metaphor for the way we live. You can't have, or it would be very challenging to have, that skyline and all those skyscrapers without a transportation system to support it. And you've got the subway system there, but that could just as easily have been a highways map. So it emphasizes the point of how important transportation is in our daily lives.
Agreed, agreed. I think most people think that, transportation magically happens, but there's a lot of years and hard work and lots of problem solving that has to occur to make that transportation system work. So I think it's not like the sexiest job for sure, but it's definitely a necessary job.
I remember way long time ago when I worked at the American Trucking Associations, whenever the president of ATA was testifying before Congress, you could almost guarantee that a member of Congress or their staff member was caught in some huge traffic jam on the Capitol Beltway that was caused by a truck accident, right? And nobody sees the hundreds or the thousands of trucks that pass them every day safely. It's the one accident that really gets people agitated and motivated.
Oh, that's so true. That's so true. I think that, in the LA area, I remember the time about, congestion is a big thing in just Southern California in general. And I remember the time when they were working on the 405, they called it Carmageddon. And all the media outlets, it's like, stay away from LA right now because we're going to be working on the 405. You want to be stuck in traffic, you're going to go there. And come to find out, people actually listen. Like, I'm not going to that area whatsoever, UCLA area, West LA area for that weekend.
I remember that people, if given enough notice, they can make their plans and they can avoid the anticipated Carmageddon.
Exactly.
So a good lesson in communication. We should take this up. We should take this up at our communications workshop next year.
Yeah.
Well, Stephanie, let's talk about how you got involved in IBTTA.
Let's talk about that. I've heard about IBTTA at my time at Parsons, even LA Metro. And then what I heard about it is it's a tolling industry conference. It's like an organization. And I would see the rates for the registration for the meetings. And I'm like, wow, if you're not a member, it's really expensive. It wasn't until I came to RCTC and my supervisor at the time, my director, Michael Bloomquist, who had taken Leadership Academy, I believe 2014, he had suggested, why don't you go through Leadership Academy through IBTT? And I was like, man, I'm going to be just listening about tolling and God, this is going to be boring. I'm like, I've taken a lot of leadership trainings before. And I went through Leadership Academy and that was, I want to say, is one of the top-notch leadership classes that I've ever taken. And that was my introduction to IBTTA and that strong community that's present within IBTTA. I was like, most organizations that you go to, and I'm not going to mention any, you come and they're like, okay, great, give us your money and okay, we'll help lobby for your cause. But in IBTTA, I felt like it's like family. It's like a community where everybody cares about each other, and like what's going on with your project? Do you need some solutions here? Or, hey, you need some professional development help. Hey, here's a person you can talk to who could be a mentor for you. I'm like, I've never been part of such a great community within any organization where I felt like people would just reach out to you just out of the blue to want to help you out. So I'm really appreciative of the IBTTA community that, in this short time from 2019 that I've come to develop, and I'm just so grateful to have.
That's great to hear. This is Café IBTTA. Our guest is Stephanie Bianco. She is the Capital Projects Manager for the toll program at Riverside County Transportation Commission. And we are taking your questions. And Barbara Gannon writes, and the community of the Leadership Academy Alumni Association and IBTTA continues through your great work with LAAA. Barbara Gannon. All right.
Oh, Barbara, I love you. Thank you so much.
Barbara raised the topic of the LAAA. Tell us about that, Stephanie. Tell us about your role there and all the good things that come out of that.
So the Leadership Academy Alumni Association is an organization that allows Leadership Academy alumni to connect, to network, to be able to be introduced to the various committees that are exist within IBTTA, to be able to promote each other from different classes, and to be able to give back to the community. We've been raising funds for, I think, we're trying to figure out where to raise our funds for a charitable cause, but we've raised some funds through some fun events. And lastly, and I think most importantly, is like we like to have fun because, as you know, when if you've gone through Leadership Academy, there are like the structured agenda items that Barbara Gannon put you through, but there is the after hours of, going to dinner, karaoke, or other activities that happen where I feel like the bonds are forged with your classmates. And I think all of us, each of our classes has that bond, and it's sort of like a fraternity sorority kind of thing. And so it's one of those things where it's like if you've been through it, you know it, and it's like you always want to encourage more folks to be a part of it. And so we do a lot of activities, whether it's encourage some of our alumni to be part of panelists or participate more in IBTTA committees, or get a conference set up. Also, we raise money for charitable causes. We're in the middle of determining what charitable cause that we want to go forward with. We also do meetups during the annual meeting or other meetings like the Tech Summit, where we can just, meet and greet, just get together. And then lastly, we do every year, we nominate and then present award for the Distinguished Leadership Academy alumni. And so for this year, it's George Christopher, and I know he's out there in the audience. So I want to congratulate him again on winning that award. But it's a way for us to acknowledge our alumni that do great work in the industry. So we do a lot of activities. We do have a very small core group that does a majority of the work, and that includes Mike Davis, Mark Hicks, David Rains, Carlos Campos, Jessica Carson, Deanne Vickery. And then I want to give thanks to the folks that were there previous to us for the LAAA, our chairs, Mary Salak and Lauren Hakos. They did a lot to set up the foundation for the Leadership Academy Alumni Association. So, me being co-chair along with Alan Williamson, we've been set up for success. And we're always kind of being nimble and flexible in how we, execute our events. But overall, it's about it's our community just getting together, supporting our alumni.
That's great. That's great. And I'm glad you gave that big shout out to Lauren Hakos with the Ohio Transportation and Infrastructure Commission, Ohio Turnpike, and Mary Salak from CERTA in Georgia, sort of the founders, really the founders of the LAAA. Their vision really brought that organization to life. Thanks.
Oh, yes. They put in a lot of hard work. They put together the charter and set up a lot of good structure for the organization. So a lot of thanks goes to them. And they're currently our ambassadors, so they're continuing to promote us as well.
Now, Stephanie, in 2021, early 2021, we couldn't actually have a physical in-person Leadership Academy course because of the pandemic. And so the Leadership Academy Alumni Association and Barbara Gannon and others worked together to put together sort of the Leadership Academy experience. And you had the opportunity to moderate one of the sessions that had to do with leading through disruption. We know this has been an incredibly disruptive times, going back to the beginning of 2020 and, through large parts of 2021. Talk to us about that session and some of the people that you were able to coax to share their leadership experiences.
I was really honored to be part of that, to be the moderator for that panel. I was amongst titans within the, tolling industry. There was Chris Tomlinson there, Diane Scacchetti, and and Mark Compton, and they had really great words of, just being very authentic and genuine about this time of disruption, right? That it's not easy to be able to manage like a large scale tolling agency and all the employees associated with it, and making sure your customers are happy as well. I mean, they had to be adaptable, they had to be flexible, and they had to make hard decisions. Hey, we're going to be staying at home for a while, and you still need to get your work done. And it was very difficult, I think, and I think they were very honest about it, and I really appreciated that. One of that common theme about, that I found through the conversation was that you have to be agile and you have to adapt to the disruption and eventually evolve. We utilize a lot of technology. I mean, right now, look at what we're using to meet nationwide is through this, through this Zoom platform. Otherwise you'd have been like on this phone call, teleconference call, and you're like, who's saying what? But this has like really changed the game in terms of being able to connect, nationwide, right? And to your colleagues across whatever, even international borders, and also just with your colleagues locally, and keep you safe. I think, it also allowed us to think a little bit more out of the box in terms of our mobility solutions. There's like this whole now population now that's telework and may not be on the roads, and it's affecting, our toll facilities. And how do we mitigate for that? Are we using technologies? Are we raising tolls? Are we, it's putting those questions in the forefront, like what do we need to do to keep our facilities sustainable? So it allowed for more of those open conversations to think about those out of the box ideas and what's really feasible to implement.
Let's talk a little bit about the agility and adaptation in terms of your current work, working on the I-15 Express Lanes extension. Tell us a little more about the work that you do to make that a reality and how it integrates with the other transportation systems in the region.
I can talk about that. So just to give you a little bit of context, the 15 Express Lane South Extension is a 14.5-mile express lanes corridor that's connecting with our 15 express lanes that just opened as of last year. And so it's in Western Riverside County. It goes from South Corona about, down to this Lake Elsinore area. And I'll have, the plan is to have 2 express lanes in each direction. And all of the improvements are within the median. So we're not doing any outside widening. We don't intend to have any right-of-way acquisition, which is helpful for the project. However, we've been going through all our design and environmental, but there's been a new law policy in California with reduction to vehicle miles traveled. And basically what that law is stating is that, all development projects, including transportation projects, have to reduce their vehicle miles traveled impacts. And so essentially adding any lanes to a highway increases vehicle miles traveled. It's essentially basically encouraging people, or not forcing, it's basically to stick to get people to utilize different modes of transportation, whether it be transit or rail and the like. So it is challenging for our South Extension. Fortunately for our project, since we started it in 2019, we're screened out of that analysis for the vehicle miles traveled. We do have to address it in our environmental document, but it makes us, think about all of our other projects at our agency in terms of, being able to think about the other modes of transportation. Do we include maybe a transit component as part of our South Extension to just get ahead of it?
Yeah.
Is there another program out there? I know in San Bernardino County, I know Philip's out there, Philip Chu. I know they're looking at ways of quantifying telework and how that reduces vehicle miles traveled. So here, RCTC, we're kind of looking at what our our colleagues are doing in terms of VMT reductions and seeing what actually is going to work for our agency and for our transportation projects.
It sounds like a really challenging initiative to be part of, to be working on these express lanes and to try to cooperate or be within compliance of that VMT requirement, right?
It is very challenging. I mean, other states are not experiencing this pain, but it seems like it may move towards that if the federal government changes their legislation. But I think it's very difficult to, we have a very, in Riverside County, our developments are, people live in houses. It's not very transit oriented, development friendly at this point. People drive to work, they drive to Orange County, they drive to LA, they drive from Eastvale to downtown Riverside. We have it's very challenging in our area because it's not set up to be like a downtown LA or San Francisco where you could just put a subway system or some type of strong transit system there. But we're definitely evaluating what is the potential there for being more multimodal within our region, but it's something that we're still studying.
So we have a question or a comment from Ghulam Ashar. Reducing VMT is an interesting approach as it attempts to solve several problems. What is your evaluation approach?
Yeah, that one is it's interesting. I think, RCTC, we are not only, I'm in the tolling department, so we do express lanes, and then we have other departments such as our capital projects that also does highway projects, interchanges, and transit, bus stations and additional rail for rail projects. I think we're looking at a very holistic view at that. I think we're kind of held to what we're required to deliver for our measure sales tax program, which is mostly highways, and then looking for ways to fund multimodal projects. And so, just recently we had a Coachella Valley Rail project that got its environmental approved. And, a lot of our commissioners went to Washington, D.C. to lobby for some, hey, this is a really good project. It's multimodal, helps, with vehicle miles travel. Hopefully that will result in some additional funds in our area as it relates to rail and transit.
Stephanie, we spoke at the outset about your family of origin and how your parents came to this country and the nurturing and support they gave you. Let's talk about your family now, the family that you're building and the children that you are sending out into the world. Tell us a little bit about them and the kind of guidance you're giving them.
Sure. So I have two daughters, 9 and 11, and luckily they actually do their homework without me asking them. So thankfully they do that. But they're also very active in doing, they're into music. They do piano, guitar, tennis, karate. So we keep them busy. So they're not idle. I think what's important, the most important thing that I want to teach them is that to be resilient. I think it's, in this day and age, there's so much out there that can get you down that you just got to be strong within yourself to be able to push through that and get to the goals that you want to get to. So I've been teaching them that it's hard because sometimes it's just like you just want it your way and it doesn't happen and it's hard, but it's just something that, I think they're learning slowly but surely, but they're good kids. I'm really proud of them and what they've done academically. And I'm actually going to an awards assembly for one of them this morning. So after this call, but yeah, I'm really, really proud of them.
Stephanie, I think resilience is such an important trait or characteristic or value to instill in your daughters. And of course, it's one of the part of Diane Gutierrez-Schettti's theme this year, resilience, leadership, and opportunity. And it's a lifelong thing. There are always opportunities where you're going to get knocked off your horse or knocked off something, and having that strength, that virtue of resilience is really important.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Stephanie, I'm going to make a couple of announcements and then I'm going to come back to you for some final words of wisdom. So I encourage all our viewers to please be sure to complete the survey at the end of today's Cafe IBTTA. And we'd like you to get involved in one of our many committees, councils, and task forces. There is a form on our website under the About tab and then down on committees, and you'll see a form at the bottom of the page. You've probably seen us promote this also in Smart Brief as well as the IBTTA Connection. Please do this before October 28th. We'd love to hear from you about committees, task forces, and other volunteer activities that you'd like to participate in. Coming up this weekend, October 23 through 25, is the Global Tolling Summit in Dublin, Ireland. We thanked our CMOs and our host and our partner organization a little earlier. November 3rd, we have a webinar put on by the International Committee on Emerging Market Series, Doing Business in India. On December 8th, we have our IBTTA Book Club discussion on the book titled Raising My Rainbow by Lori Duran. And please check the IBTTA website for details on all of our in-person and virtual events. Well, Stephanie, what final words of wisdom do you have before we sign off today?
I wanted to share that, is that we do important work, right? Every day that we show up at our agencies, our firms, this is really important work. It's meaningful. But just remember that we work to live and we don't live to work, and to always be kind to everybody. You never know what anybody's going through. So always be kind.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
I love that. Be kind.
Mm-hmm.
Stephanie, thank you so much for being our guest today on Cafe IBTTA. It's been a delight. And to all our viewers, be safe, keep in touch, and we'll see you down the road.